Hey guys, it is Nick here, and today we will see whether or not the android threat matters in this particular story. This is part 5 to What If Tarble was raised by Vegeta, or What If Vegeta raised Tarble, what other story name you want to go with. We get into the android threat. Now, there is no future timeline, like I stated, so we get right into it. 19 and Gero are in the city, attacking. Yamcha is the first victim, like before, but this trained and much stronger Yamcha is actually able to fend off Gero from immediately grabbing him and taking his energy, which throws Gero off by surprise. Sure, he knew about Kaioken and everything else, and he knew that the Earthlings might have gotten strong along with Goku and them, because he just recently found out about Vegeta, Tarble, and the other Saiyans, but he didn't expect Yamcha would be able to fend him off outright and not get swooped with one attack. But before Gero has even time to process all of this, Goku comes in his Super Saiyan form, takes 19 by surprise, and sledgehammers his head clean off. This is in one hit. Now, this is Goku around the same power level as his Frieza Saga counterpart, if not a bit higher in Super Saiyan, but this was an off-guard attack, so 19 would naturally have no way to defend himself. Now, Gero, seeing that this new Super Saiyan form is a thing, and all the other warriors conveying in on the scene, and that his best android has just been taken out in one attack, he's feeling a mix of emotions. This all happened so quick, he doesn't have a time to even process this. And he retreats, and this is in the city, mind you, so this is all going very quickly. This is how strong the Z-Fighters are at this point in time. Not strong, not too much stronger than any of my other stories, but pretty noticeable. Now, Bulma's right there, so right away, she tells the group about the location of Gero's lab. Now, since Vegeta is the strongest in this story, and is the leader of this group, since strength, aside from Tarble, who would be sort of like a second in command, because he's his brother and all, and the next strongest, they go by Vegeta's plan to forget about the lab and just go after Gero. Why is this Vegeta being much smarter? Well, I think that this Vegeta being, the strongest, the best, would give him some sort of leader kind of role. He'd be smarter and much more jubilant about having all of this given to him. And eventually, after the gang, they can't sense his energy, but throwing blasts from place to place in hopes of getting him out of hiding, from what Yamcha said about him constantly grabbing, they must be trying to steal energy. So, the Ki Blast might be a dead giveaway, and Gero falls for this trap, hook, line, and sinker. And he realizes too little too late, he basically doomed himself to death. If this did not occur, then anywhere the area he might have been going would have been laid to waste anyway, and that includes near his lab. Once the group gets to the lab, they go in right away, blow up the pods containing the other androids, because any androids that might be some sort of threat, they can't have that. And as for Cell's underground bunker, with no time travel, in my Hercules story, I did state that a present Cell would exist, even though there would be no future Cell. But in this story, I don't see that happening. Why is that? Well, I can think of a few reasons. One, Goku possibly stepping up. He's not mad about Vegeta being a leader, but if he's going to be one, and especially on his planet, then he might as well help in some ways to steer Vegeta in the right direction. And he tells Vegeta about the Red Ribbon Army, and that keeping any kind of base around it alive, they gotta search everywhere. They cannot leave any stone unturned. And as for Tarble, since he's the more, nice one out of all the Saiyans, I think that he would steer Vegeta in the right direction too. Don't get me wrong, Tarble being raised by the Saiyans has given him the Saiyan edge on, being bruteful and sort of like his brother, much more so than his canon counterpart, but that niceness of him hasn't gone away. So, I think that Present Cell would ultimately be dealt with at any given point. And Kami, I feel that if they were looking around, found nothing, that he would learn about this particular factor, and Present Cell would have just been destroyed anyways. Now, speaking of Kami, there will be no Kami and Piccolo fusion, because with no Cell, no future timeline, no immediate sense of danger, I don't think that this would be a thing. Especially considering the fact that Namek is not known in this story at all. Now, this means that Kami remains the guardian of Earth. Much like my Hercules story, as a matter of fact. Now, what happens now? The Android saga is basically over. There's really nothing to it. Well, the Saiyans, that would be Vegeta, Goku, Nappa, Gohan, Tarble, and Raditz, all of them, they feel that all this training that they were doing, even though there wasn't any known sources of the android's threat, they feel that now with this, they have a chance to get themselves stronger on this planet now that there are going to be threats attacking the Earth. After Frieza and his father, they didn't expect anything. But now, there's actually something to strive for. And this gets the Earthlings, especially Piccolo, since he's the next in line besides the Saiyans, they just want to have more training. Do something that amps it up, basically. And Kami has just the idea for it. But he can't do it the way he is now. And that's when Shenron comes into the picture. And with one wish, Kami becomes young again. And with this upgrade, this is much more noticeable than Dende, because Dende might have been younger, but he was just getting the grasps on being the Guardian. Kami, on the other hand, knew much more about the hyperbolic time chamber before Dende. So, that means when he becomes young, whatever rent-free kind of upgrades the hyperbolic time chamber had then, you could basically just say that the hyperbolic time chamber in this particular story is so much more reliable. And the reason that I never pointed this out in other stories is because I didn't know the particular factors of Kami's youth playing in to the hyperbolic time chamber's upgrades, which is very noticeable here. Over this time skip, Vegeta had gained some sustainability with the mastered form of Super Saiyan. Now, at this point, I feel that he would finally be getting on the full grasps of mastered Super Saiyan. And after more time spent in the hyperbolic time chamber, he is the first one out of everybody, obviously, to gain the Super Saiyan 2 form. And over the time skip going into the Buu arc, he actually masters the form. Now, some of you might be thinking that this is kind of a too big upgrade, but the Yardratian training, as I've stated before, plays a huge factor in focusing and gaining power. Now, the Yardratians weren't about power, but focus and everything else, that's a big help, especially for maintaining something as bruteful as the Super Saiyan form. Tarble comes very close behind to getting the Super Saiyan 2 form. Now, he doesn't master it outright like Vegeta, but he gets very close. Now, Raditz is the next one. Why Raditz? Well, Tarble, Raditz, Nappa, and Vegeta all became the strongest way ahead of Goku, so it makes sense. he becomes the next one and is close to gaining Super Saiyan 2 over the big time skip. Nappa, not too far behind, getting the full effects of Mastered Super Saiyan, but I'm not going to give him Super Saiyan 2 going into the Buu arc, at least not to a degree which he can transform it at will. As for Goku, he gets past the levels of grade 1, 2, and 3, and gets grade 4, I'm going to say just when the Buu saga begins to occur. Why is he not getting the growth he did before? Well, no other world. He never died besides his first trip to King Kai's, so it is much different. As for Gohan, he is very close behind his father, but in terms of the Saiyans, he's the weakest out of all of them, which strives all of them to get stronger, including himself. Now, few things to discuss before the Buu Saga's intro becomes relevant. Goten was born far earlier on, with Goku and Chi-Chi spending much more time with each other, since Goku only had died before the Saiyans even arrived on Earth for this whole trip with King Kai. And he never went to Namek, so that plays a big part. So Goten here, by the time the Buu Saga hits, will actually be a teen. So, the junior division for him almost becomes irrelevant. And even if it does become relevant, Trunks is also still a thing too. Now, he would be the spawn of Yamcha and Bulma like my other stories, because Vegeta came way later on, and this would have given Yamcha and Bulma plenty of time to have their relationship solved. And so Trunks would be older than Goten, like the original story, except with a way different age gap. Now, as for what will go on for their divisions and going into the Buu arc, well, this puts us at the introduction to the Buu Saga and the end of the Android Saga. No Cell Saga. And what will happen now? What will happen now that there is no androids, so many different changes, so many different people here? And what will happen in the tournament going into the Buu Saga? And will Majin Buu even be relevant? And that's where we leave things for the moment. So, hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Hope that you guys are enjoying What If Vegeta Raised Tarble as a whole. What do you guys think about this quick end to the Android Saga? Possibly the quickest ending I've done with the Android Saga at all. Leave a comment down below, like and subscribe. Comment an idea if you guys have any ideas, and I'll see you guys next time.